It's day 143 of a screenwriter's journey, 12/12/21 in the writing department, January 27th in the voiceover department. I just got done recording my weekly podcast, not about screenwriting, so I thought, hey, I didn't really talk that much because I had two other people on with me. And so now that I got the microphone here, I might as well do some recording. Where are we? As I recall, at the end of yesterday, I thought I had sort of gone back and reached a point where I realized I needed to change some fundamental things about the opening, but based on what I'm looking at here, that's really not the case. Let's just see. Holly's talking to herself. Enjoy the rest of the therapy session. Yeah, that line is. I was trying to get to the definition of insanity, which is so old. I don't know if it's a cliche or not, but it's. That's not going to make the final cut. It's not even going to make the second rough cut, I don't think. So we're back in Lexi's bedroom, and they're talking here. So Lexi, obviously, and Lexi and Holly ended up sort of, not in a fight literally, but having a spat. I'm just looking at this. Hindsight being 2020. Wow, this is 6 weeks ago. A whole lot has changed since then, and not only in the screenplay, but as I mentioned, I started a new job this past Monday, so I've got that going for me. Never too early, or never too middle, or never too late to take on a new challenge. Those dings must mean that people are uploading files to my Dropbox account, and then I will go edit my podcast. Not my podcast, the podcast. I won't tell you what it is because we do it anonymously for reasons I won't go into now. I'm sure you don't care. Let's see. What do you care about? This script, ever since, what was it, day 105, when I got that guy's feedback. So it's been 30 days. No, it's almost been 40 days of writing days, which is probably 50 days in real life. And I don't know that I've gotten past page 30. I've just been reworking this beginning, trying to get it to a point where I think it's good enough, because at this point, having been through the script so many times and actually having completed it, quote unquote, and having had good feedback from 4 people, and then unfortunately one good feedback, but in a negative way. So obviously my point is, I thought it was great or very good when I had, quote, finished it. And so if I write something that I know right off the bat isn't as good, when I read it again the second or third time, I'm certainly not going to keep it. What's my point? My point is that until I read my own writing at least 3 or 4 times and don't change anything, or, fix some grammar or tiny little thing, but don't make substantial changes to dialogue, to scenes, to the structure, to the order of the scenes, adding in new scenes, taking out old scenes. Not until I get to that point do I say to myself, well, it's looking decent now. Maybe it's time for someone to read it. But when I'm going through, like I have been doing, and just make change after change after change after change, and I could say that in an almost infinite loop, that I've been doing for these past almost 40 days of writing. Obviously, I don't have the story. I don't know what the story is. I don't know how to tell the story that I want to tell, maybe because I don't know what story I want to tell. Did I say the same thing twice? I may have. All right, let's see here. Okay. So we got them ready to start out on their weekend trip again. Been there, done that. What am I changing here? So Lexi and Abby come out of their house. Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, because remember oh gosh, I had that whole thing where Holly basically kidnapped Lexi and took her and they went to that diner. Oh my gosh, do you remember that? I don't even think that lasted a day before I got rid of that. Or maybe I haven't deleted it yet, but that's where I think I went back and said, oh my gosh. So now, new idea. Abby and Holly have the fight. Holly talks to her supervisor, whatever. Abby talks to Lexi, or Lexi and Holly have the fight, obviously. And so now it's however many days later, Lexi and Abby are planning to go on this thing. So at this point, they have no plans to go to the go-karting anymore. Oh my gosh, stop dinging. They are going to go to these cabins. And so now Holly just out of nowhere pops up and says, hey, you want to go to the go-kart place? And so in a way, it's kind of early for a break into two, but this is Holly being proactive. And that's really what I need, because otherwise she's not taking that step to move them into the second act, which is like the new world, the antithesis, as they say. So you set up the old world, you set up the problems in it. They have a debate about whether to go into this new world. You know, classic Back to the Future. They literally go back to 1958, was it? Or 6, whatever it was. And, I mean, obviously Star Wars, I literally always use those too, but go right down the list and look at the act 2 of, it's not literally a new world most of the time, but it is something totally different. So in this case, the old world was Holly and Lexi and sort of the relationship that they had and everything that's gone on. And now they are going on this kind of road trip-ish thing. So they're taking them out of their element. They're putting them together. That's the idea anyways, but it might still morph a little bit. But that is kind of what I'm working on here. Maybe your bridge over troubled waters. That's one of those clever things that probably has to go. So now, in this scenario, Jake, of course, is dating our aunt. Oh, that was kind of funny. Luke thinks that the surprise is the SUV, and so he says our aunt got us a $25 gift card. This is just, you're not going with us. Yeah, I mean, I kind of get what I'm doing here, but I don't really love it. Terrible line. Good, I got rid of it. Just kind of reading along here. Wouldn't it be cool if I could type, or you could type this fast in real life? You could if you use text to speech, or speech to text, right? I've used that quite a bit, not on screenwriting, but other places. Continues to improve. So, again, Holly is being proactive, but this whole idea isn't quite where it needs to be yet, in my opinion. I will harken back to my script Ripple, which you can, if you go to scriptrevolution.com, you can download it and read it there and purchase it. That had a very clear break into two. And I'm just thinking of other scripts I've written that have probably a clearer break into two. The previous version of this, obviously the break into two was when Lexi got kidnapped. Lexi and Luke, in that case, got kidnapped. But that wasn't really Holly being proactive. Again, she was going off to the other job and all that. So I think that was part of the problem. And so now I'm trying to fix that and trying to get things timed right such that Holly, because just, getting in your car and going on a road trip doesn't feel like a super strong break into two. And yet when the kidnapping occurs, whatever the circumstances surrounding it are going to be, that is not really a proactive move at all on Holly's part, obviously. But the decision, and it's not really a decision to go after him. It's not like, she's not going to do it. So that can't be really considered a break into two. It's really more like the midpoint where something happens and then you've got the bad guys closing in and Night of the Dark Soul and all is lost, not necessarily in that order. So I don't know if that's something I need to continue to revisit. Obviously so, because right now they're just having a lot of yappity yap yap. It's just too much talking, Jack. Cut down the talking. I need more action. I need more stuff to happen in this. There's no doubt about that. And it's so weird how hindsight being maybe not 2020, because if it was, I'd only have to rewrite once, but it's maybe 2030 or 2040 or 4020, whatever. But when I go back and read this stuff, well, obviously I'm making changes. So even as I go back the first time, and now I'm going back 6 weeks later and doing my commentary on it and just seeing that it's not that great. And the fact that I didn't realize that when I was writing it is just kind of disheartening to some extent. And again, when this becomes a produced script and everyone is watching this series to find out how it got to be where it was, that will be the value, because you go, oh my gosh, he wrote this and then et cetera, and then this happened to it and now it's totally awesome. Dreamer. Nothing but a dreamer. Okay, so I think this scene started on maybe page 23, 26. So 4 pages, almost all dialogue. No, thank you. And then, of course, I don't know. I just not. It's kind of disheartening to, I don't know, make. I feel compelled to say something, even though most of it is stuff I've said before. And then on the other hand, I know that this really isn't that good. So why do I even comment on it? And again, I think the discipline of doing it, which I have said before, I highly recommend. Gosh, it seems like a long time. It's all right. Let's face it. It's going to be almost a year. When did I start writing this? I need to go back and look. I feel like it was April. I'm pretty sure it was, of 2021. Oh my gosh. Jack, you need to get on your horse because it's almost going to be a year of writing, which for me is not unusual. Sad to say. I'm just thinking about that, and it's kind of depressing. I've told the guy that I'm going to send it to the producer. I said, I'm working on her script, her being the person that in my dreams stars in this movie. The name that shall not be spoken. All right, so now I go back to the beginning of the scene. Just making some cosmetic changes. Or am I? It looks like I'm stuck there. Whoop. And I'm sort of making up geography because this, I've said before, I get trapped in that reality thing where I think I have to make it match real life logistics and geography and so on. So I go and look on Google Maps and I say, oh man, if they left from here, they wouldn't go past it on their way to the cabins. And then I realize, well, it doesn't really matter, does it? So again, same day, and I'm going through here and let's see how many substantial changes I make. And I, of course, being 6 weeks ago, I do not recall vividly or otherwise what led me to go back and make these changes. It's a really interesting thing, you know, coming up with a story, writing dialogue, writing description, writing action, blocking it all out, structuring it, and then what goes into your decision to go back and change it and that sort of thing. Where the ideas come from, what in your head triggers an idea, what says, oh, that's a terrible idea. It's just super fascinating. But if you start thinking about it and overthinking about it, you'll probably never write. So I don't think about it, and because of that, I'm rewriting a whole bunch. This is it's just too much. There's just too much dialogue. Just cut, 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 cut. You meaning me, has to keep in mind every line has to move the story, reveal character, good news, bad news, raising the stakes, ticking clock, all that kind of stuff. Uh-oh, there's a yawn. Fiscal panic. Yeah, that's a good direction for an actress. So I'm just trying to get to the part where she breaks the news to them that she's coming, and they're going to be happy enough with it that they won't raise a hissy fit. So Jake puts down the marker there, so to speak, and that kind of changes Abby and Lexi. It's on like Donkey Kong. I think that's still an acceptable thing, according to one of my sons. That's pretty funny. Don't know if it belongs here, but it's pretty funny. I feel like the funniest lines are ones that just come out of the moment, as opposed to you write, you rewrite, and you go back and you just plug in a funny line. It seems like it's just got to come out of dialogue that you write. It's probably no revelation. But again, cutesy and clever lines that don't move the story, etc., are just that. And they are doomed from the beginning. Not to say those are going to go away. I mean, Luke is kind of set up to be kind of the more goofy, lighthearted of the ones. So if anyone said that line, it would be him. So Lexi's trying to make a deal with Holly to basically say, I don't want to spend very much time with you. So setting up a little challenge. I'm trying to figure out how to word it, obviously. And then I realized that lose meaning what if you don't win. And just sort of tripping over words trying to get to where I want to be. I mean, I don't think that Abby would say that. I think that would be Lexi's line. At any rate, I mean, it's sort of raising the stakes. I guess it is sort of raising the stakes. Lexi's eyes bore into her. Oh, I did talk to via email, a high school theater production teacher that I work with on videotaping some high school productions, and they read an earlier, no, they didn't read an earlier version. A very, very old iteration of this script. I think when it was still like a pilot. But they've read a couple of others of mine. But anyways, I talked to her, or I mentioned about this script, and I told her it would be ready in a couple months. Ooh, and that was a week ago. I go get going. I don't know how you write that without writing it, where you grab your collar and go, no. There we go, 143 in the books. Thanks for hanging in there with me. See you tomorrow.